Hello, Jalea Pettis here. Thank you for returning to my vlog. This is episode 2 of Behind the Campaign, Lessons in Creativity and Diversity. So episode 2, what are we talking about today? So we're talking about authenticity versus aesthetic and what that really means from a social media perspective. Now, if you guys joined me on my last video, I was pretty candid about an experience that I had on set. And I had mentioned to you all that I'm a note taker. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have notes and I want to make sure that I am hitting all of the hot buttons for today's vlog and conversation. And as usual, I first want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you if you're new here for coming over to my page. If you have subscribed already, I appreciate you returning. So let's jump right into it, okay? So authenticity versus aesthetic. What does that mean? And how is social media getting that right? And how is it getting that wrong? So when we talk about authenticity, I'm going to raise my hand first and say, you know what? I am not afraid to show up as my authentic and real self. A perfect example of that is me sitting before you today without a stitch of makeup on, okay? Like no makeup on at all. No eyebrows, no lip gloss, no nothing. All I got on is facial creams, okay? And I think sometimes the stigma is that we have to show up all put together all the time, right? Because we have to fit into this mold. We have to fit into this box. And I don't know who created the box. I don't know who created the mold. But I think that for me specifically, I'm doing myself a disservice. I'm doing the individuals that connect with me a disservice. I'm doing my clients and my kids a disservice if I show up any other way other than who I really am. And I think for me, that is at the core of what I believe and how I position myself. Because nobody has it all together all the time. They don't. You don't have it together all the time. You don't just wake up and your hair is combed. You don't just wake up with a full face of makeup on. You don't wake up and, you don't need to comb out your beard. Like whatever your situation is, like you just don't wake up perfect all the time, right? Like this morning, I woke up super swollen. So I had to use my tool to kind of get my lymphatic drainage going. But I think it's important that when we talk about like aesthetic versus authenticity, what does that really look like? And who is defining that? So for me, when I think from a creative standpoint, I think about a lot of times the businesses that I want to become a customer of, or the businesses that I want to become connected to, whether that be like a client relationship or, somebody that I want to support in one way or another, So I do pay attention to social media in that aspect. And I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, especially present day 2025. Like there's a lot of stuff that is going on in the world, right? Like there's a lot of really racially charged things happening. There are a lot of political things happening. There are a lot of people that are showing you that there is a very definitive line in the sand and that you have to be either left or right, that you have to either be black or white, that you have to either be red or blue. Like all of those things are happening right now, right? And to the point where it's almost a little scary. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like I pay attention to my surroundings now more than I ever have in my entire life, which is nuts because I remember as an adolescent living overseas in Japan, I didn't speak a lick of Japanese, but I could get on their trains and find my way around without any problem. And we didn't have no cell phones. Like, there was no way for, me to communicate with my mother to let her know that I had gotten home safely, that I was out on the economy. That's what we used to call it, because I was a military brat. So like, I would leave the base and then I would be out on the economy, because that's what we lived. We lived out in regular population. We weren't on base at one particular time. So like, as a kid, I didn't have no fear. The only fear was, don't miss your stop. Like, you know what I mean? Didn't read Japanese, didn't speak Japanese, but I knew enough then to pay attention to my surroundings. Whereas now, present day, 2025, I go to New York this past summer with 2 of my 3 kids. One is 23, the other one is 17. And I'm like freaking out, like in full freak out mode. Mind you, I did this when I was way younger than them, by myself in another country. So like, I have to be very conscious of my surroundings. I tell them to be very conscious of their surroundings. I know a lot of other people that have to do the same things. And a lot of that is because of what's happening in the world right now, right? So when we see things that are happening on social media, it kind of shows you where people are, right? And I think there's one thing that we're missing as it relates to that. And that is, social media was supposed to be a tool. Like, it was supposed to be a marketing tool for businesses. And a lot of us are still utilizing it that way. However, there are a lot of people that, just get online and they berate people. That is their platform to get you together, so to speak, or tell you everything wrong that you were doing with your life. You know what I mean? I remember when Facebook was only for college students, and MySpace was like the popular thing that first came out, and Black Planet, for those that remember Black Planet, like, that was a very different time then. And now I'm seeing a lot of things that look like, I'll just say it, that looks very performative. And I know I've said that before, but there's so much happening right now as it relates to businesses changing their stance on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's so glaring. And it makes you kind of wonder, where are things going to be? Not only within the next 3 to 6 months, but within the next 3 to 6 years. Like, what is going to happen? And, we have all of these different months that celebrate different cultures, but like, are we really celebrating different cultures? Or are we just doing it for that month to attract the people? You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at, like, who is on your executive board? What do those people look like? Are they all men? Are they men and women? What is their ethnic and racial background? How long have they been in those positions? Are they individuals that are baby boomers, or are they individuals that are Gen Zers? Like, there's more than just a racial divide. There's an age divide as well. There's a gender divide as well. So it's important, I feel like, as somebody that is a creative, to show up in a way that feels the most authentic to me, and then also feels the most authentic to who I feel like my demographic is, and it's not just about what looks pretty. It's not just about, on social media, everything has to be lined up this way, and it all has to have this color, and it all has to do this. Like, yeah, that's cool for a moment in time, but like, we've seen where things have kind of taken a turn. For those of you that love Love Island, I'm sure we saw it when the Islanders were in the villas, right? There were tons and tons of brands chiming in on what was happening within Love Island and picking people that they wanted to stand with or stand against, which is really interesting because as a brand, you should be attracting those individuals for one reason or another. Like, to say that you're team this or team that as a brand is kind of like, wait a minute, why? Like, wait and reach out to that person and do a brand deal with them after the fact. But like, to verbalize it and put it out there in a negative light is like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Whoever the person was that was behind the scenes forgot that this wasn't their personal page, and this is actually a page that is supposed to be for the actual company. You know what I mean? So those kind of things are super, super important. I feel like it is also becoming very much easier to see where the authenticity lies as well as where the fakeness lies. And let's just call it what it is, right? People are showing you where they live, where they live as far as what, how they want to present themselves on socials. And again, thinking from the perspective of a small business, it's important that you're utilizing it in a way that is going to drive customers to you, not drive them away. Yeah, some people are like, well, if everybody isn't for me, I agree. Everybody isn't for me either. And I totally understand that. However, like, do we want to be so narrow-minded that we only want to just put one group of individuals in one group of ads all the time? Just saying, just wondering, because despite everything else, we do really live in a world that is very much a melting pot. We really do. Regardless of what your stance is, it is still very much a melting pot. So I think that in a lot of times it takes a toll on us as creatives, because we want to make sure that we're hitting all of the marks. But we all also want to make sure that we're showing up for our communities the way that we feel like is going to work best for us. I had a class recently, and in the class there was a young lady that was on the front row, and she was like, this is a little confusing because I hear a lot of different things on how I should be on social media and how I should show up, which is true. There's a lot of information out there, but I think that it's important to take the things that you feel like are going to apply to you, and the things that don't, leave them to the side. Like, I've taken tons of social media classes myself, and all of the time they're like, you need to do this to grow and you need to do that to grow. And I'm like, bruh, I did all of that and I'm still not growing. So what is the problem? What is the problem? And I think a lot of it has to do with making sure that you are being consistent, yes, but at the same time, like, paying attention to how the algorithm is moving, what's trending, and all of that. But you can't get so wrapped into wanting followers. Like, what is that? Do those followers really equate to dollar signs in your bank account? Sometimes, most of the time, no. Like, I feel like my numbers have been stuck where they are for about 5 years. However, I also know that my socials, although they might be stuck in a nano influencer state, I know I am, with the views and the insights, I'm very much in the micro state. So it's like, people are watching, they just don't want to follow, but you keep watching. I'm just saying, why are we watching? If you don't want to be here, why are we watching? What are we doing? So there's a lot of pressure, right? There's a lot of pressure where social media is concerned to show up all the time, to show up perfect. Like, you have to spend this many hours and you have to do this, and like, what does the progress really look like? But I think that taking those breaks from social media is important. Not spending all day on social media is important. Like, really making sure that you have a strategy that works for you is important, because we all do different things in the world and we all want to show up for different, in different ways. There's some people that have social media pages that's not their business. They just want to be there, and that's okay. You know what I mean? So it is there for marketing tool for business, as a marketing tool for business owners, but some people are just there because they just want to be there, and I think that's important. So we don't want to compromise our values for aesthetics. We want to make sure that we're showing up authentically. We don't want to chase the look. We never want to chase the look. We really want to just kind of be in the space of, okay, what is going to work best for me? And I feel like that's what is the takeaway. The conversation that I wanted to have with you guys today was on a different topic, but since that was so pressing in the conversations that I had this weekend as I was educating, I wanted to kind of circle back and make sure that I touched on that a little bit more, just because it is something as creatives that we need to make sure that we're paying attention to. Okay? So with all of that said, I appreciate you all for taking the time out of your day to visit my YouTube channel and listen to this vlog. And I promise I won't take so long before the next one comes out, because I got another juicy one coming your way soon. Okay? Thank you guys for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time. Bye-bye.